body. He wrote a book, which is probably my favorite book in the world, called Love and Responsibility. And in this text, he said that word chastity needs to be rehabilitated. The world has no concept what the word means. They either think it means celibacy or even worse, some blind repression of sexual desire. Most people have no idea what chastity means. In fact, when my wife and I were engaged, I received a phone call from England, from the BBC, and they wanted to do a documentary on our engagement because they heard we weren't living together or sleeping together. So apparently, news traveled to England that there was an American couple not shacking up or having premarital sex. So we said, sure, come on over. So they
documentary about us.
And they showed up with their camera crew and producers and everything, and they interviewed us for 5 or 6 hours. They filmed my wife trying on her wedding dress for the first time. They filmed me surfing with my groomsmen. They followed us on a date with their cameras, and for hours they asked us all these probing questions as to why we weren't living together or sleeping together. And then they flew back to England, and then they mailed us the footage of the show when it had already aired for all of the United Kingdom to watch. Now, the show was called Anna in Wonderland. And it's about the woman who interviewed us, Anna, who visits different bizarre cultures around the world. And then she reports on their strange behavior back to England. And as the credits of the show were rolling, it said, join us next week when Anna visits a colony of vampires. So this week, it's my wife and I. Next week, it's Edward Cullen and Bella from Twilight, apparently. And I did a little homework on Anna here. I found out she's also done television shows on psychics, female professional wrestlers, prostitutes, and people who believe they have animals living inside of them. And now, of course, my wife and I. But this gives you a bit of a snapshot on just how bizarre the world thinks the concept of chastity is. You can see why John Paul mentioned this word needs to be rehabilitated. And when we look at this dense text of more than 700 pages, and they tell me now, tell us what the teens can pull out of this. I can pull up any page virtually. And I was thinking over the last week, what do I want to look at? And I look towards the end of the book here when he does a meditation on human love, and he reflects on the Song of Songs in the Old Testament. Now, if you've ever read the Song of Songs, it's some pretty steamy stuff in here. I mean, it's erotic love poetry right in the middle of the Bible. And they're talking about necks and lips and breasts, and you can say that. It's in the Bible. And you read this, but it's beautiful language. You've ravished my heart, my sister, my bride. Your eyes are like doves behind your veil. Now some of this you couldn't use in modern relationships. Your hair is like a flock of goats. Okay, that's not going to go over real well. My wife could ask me, does my hair look okay? Yeah, it kind of looks like goats. I'm thinking livestock tonight. That looks great, honey. No, not going to go over. Your cheeks are like pomegranates. Are you saying I'm fat? No, we're not saying you're fat. So the language is a bit archaic, but it's beautiful. And in the text here, John Paul reflects on a couple words. He speaks about, get this, the peace of the bride. That the bride in the Song of Songs has this peace with her sexual union with her spouse. And John Paul says the source of this peace that she has is that her spouse is able to look upon her with dignity and not merely some body to be used for gratification. And girls, as you hear these words, the bride has peace. Does this not resonate within your heart of how you long for to be looked at by a man? And he goes on, and he says here that the bride presents herself to the eyes of the man, get this, as the master of her own mystery. I love this phrase. The woman is the master of her own mystery. And he reflects on the words in the Song of Songs that a woman's body is a garden that is closed, a fountain that is sealed. In the Old Testament, pure water was very hard to come by. And so wells of pure water would often be enclosed in a garden that was sealed off and locked away from strangers, so nobody could come in and steal or contaminate the water. And the author of the Song of Songs compares this to a body of a woman, not covered and hidden and veiled because it's dirty and bad, but precisely because it's so good and beautiful and life-giving. And if you'll notice, I'd mentioned earlier that the woman is the most beautiful thing on earth. God is the most beautiful thing in heaven. So how did God reveal his beauty to us? Look in the Old Testament, girls, to the Old Testament, the Holy of Holies. God's presence was hidden behind one veil, behind another veil, in the Holy of Holies, and only one man, once a year, could penetrate into this enclosure to be in the very presence of God. And he entered with trembling reverence. And you hear this, and it almost sounds like God is hiding himself from us. On the contrary, he's revealing his sanctity and his holiness to us because of the fact that only a worthy spouse deserves to enter to see the glory. That's the same thing with a woman's body. Only a worthy spouse deserves to see the glory of an unveiled mystery. And to begin to look at your bodies in this way, I think chastity and purity becomes so much more attractive. Even for the men, the challenge that John Paul II extends to us. Jesus Christ, in becoming man, not only revealed God to us, he revealed us to ourselves in becoming man. He revealed our manhood to us. You look at Christ, the man. What kind of man was he? He was a carpenter. He was a man that worked with his hands. He initiated love. He initiated life. That man's dead, let's raise him from the dead. To heal. He initiated these things. He's not passive. A man is out of place if he's passive. A woman you may often see portrayed in art in leisure. And she's sitting there and she's got a bowl of grapes and some apples and some fruit. And she's beautiful and she's just there. That's fine. You never see art of men just laying there with a bowl of fruit next to me on the table. You see, in photographs, you'll have car calendars and magazines where there's a woman draped on the hood of a car just looking at you. I would love to see a calendar of men draped on the hoods of cars. I mean, what would that, it would be like, ugh, it's like, get off the car, put on a shirt, change the oil, get a job. What are